It's time for a Wellness Revolution. Brought to you by Hotze Health and Wellness Center. Honest discussion on maintaining health and wellness naturally to enjoy a better quality of life.
He's the doctor fighting to let you keep your doctorate.
Now, Dr. Stephen Hotze. Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution podcast is brought to you by Physicians Preference Pharmacy, formerly Hotze Pharmacy.
Welcome to Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution. I'm Stacey Banfield here with Dr. Stephen Hotze, founder of the Hotze Health and Wellness Center. And today we've got a wonderful guest today, Ron Mobbs, and how he got his life back. So you'll enjoy listening to that story. And as always, if you have not downloaded any of our podcasts, you can get great information. All you have to do is go to hotzepodcast.com. That's Hotze podcast.com. Dr. Hotze.
Thank you, Stacey, and thank each one of you for joining us today on Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution. I believe that you and everybody needs to have a doctor and a staff of professionals who have the wherewithal and the know-how to coach you on a path of health and wellness naturally without pharmaceutical drugs. Did you hear that? Without pharmaceutical drugs, naturally. So as you mature, you've got energy, you've got vitality, and you have enthusiasm for life. Today we have a longtime guest of ours here at the Hotze Health and Wellness Center, Ron Mobbs, who came in first July 8th of 2005. Ron, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
So, Ron, where are you from originally?
So I am from El Paso, Texas. Born out there. My dad was a retired Navy. I met a nice Latina woman, settled down in El Paso, had 5 kids. I'm one of those 5. I'm an identical twin.
Really?
Yes. So
there are 2 of you.
There's 2 of us. And so, grew up out in Southwest Texas, Arizona, Arkansas. My dad's side's from Arkansas. And basically, had a pretty normal growing up, so to speak.
And so you ended up going into the Marines.
Yes.
Tell us about that. How did you end up in the Marines?
So a decked-out Marine in his dress blues came to our high school. And at the time, I wasn't really sure what I was going to do, if I was ready for college, to be frank. And he comes in, just blows me away with his sharpness, coolness. He was a badass. And I was like, maybe I can do that. And so that's how it happened.
So you joined the Marines. How long were you in the Marines?
I did one tour. I also signed up for the Montgomery Bill. I wanted to have my education. So it was a give and also a receiving. So and the military is very generous that way. If you invest a little bit of your money, they invest a whole lot with a Montgomery GI Bill. So that's what I did. That's
good. Well, you got called up later. I guess you were a Marine out of high school?
Exactly. Right out of high school.
You got called up during the...
Desert Storm, correct. Right. So actually I was active duty, so it just coincided. I was active duty during the time that Desert Storm commenced with President Bush.
How old would have you been at that time?
I was 20.
You were 20
years old.
Wow. Young man.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, so how did you end up here in Houston?
So, after the Marine Corps, went back to home, El Paso. Definitely a better version of myself. And met a woman that I had known in high school. We ended up getting married, and we had both business opportunities. And we, in the middle of our schooling, which I don't encourage this, and I don't encourage it for my daughters, but in the middle of college, she took this business opportunity in Houston, Texas, and I took the same business opportunity in Arkansas as a distribution opportunity. So anyway, long and short, she ends up here, and we end up here. That's how I get to Houston.
Okay, so tell us, what happened to your health when you got into your 30s? What was going on?
Well, so I got married at 25, settled in Houston, and about 29 and 30, I had some major events happen. 30 was the year. I lost my dad at 30. Yeah, that was the year 2000. And about 16 months after that, my mom passed. And so here I am, 31, with both my parents gone, and that was hard. That was very hard. Ended up getting shingles. And then from there, it just was a deep dive downward spiral with my health. So I'm guessing that was the catalyst. But
and so what kind of symptoms were going on?
They were significant. I had recurring sinus infections. So coming from West Texas, where it's dry, you come to Houston, there's quite a bit of mold in the atmosphere, and your body has to acclimate. And I just wasn't doing a good job of it. And with my immune system being down, I just kept getting infections, sinus infections over and over again.
Recurrent sinus infections are caused by underlying allergic disorders, and it's allergies to not only the pollens, to the molds which you used to have, but also the pollens, the weed, tree, grass pollens, dust mite, mold spore, animal danders. So when you're out in El Paso, you don't have much pollen and very little mold because everything's so dry. But Houston's a different climate.
Absolutely.
And some people say it's the allergy capital of the world.
Probably.
So anyway, recurrent sinus infections, you had to take a lot of antibiotics, a
lot of
steroids.
Exactly.
And how did this affect your intestinal system?
Well, it just knocked it down. I mean, I just simply wasn't able to function. And of course, I know now how important our gut is to our immune system.
Right.
And I was just down. I just couldn't get back up, physically and frankly mentally.
How was your overall energy level?
Bad, very low.
You were
Just didn't have it.
30 years old and had no energy, huh? How about your overall moods?
Moods were down because everything else was down. Yeah.
Sleep?
Absolutely. Wasn't sleeping very well. Probably more. That was on the minimal side, but I'll tell you the significant thing. So here I am, and I'm being a little open here, but I want to be frank. At 31 years old, you should be sort of hitting your sexual peak. And I felt like I was riding into the sunset of retirement. I mean, physically, I just wasn't able to respond. And that's a problem when you're 31.
Sure.
So that's actually what alerted myself to saying, hey, I got to do something.
And so what did you start doing? You started a self-help program to begin with, did you?
Yeah, I did. So at first, I went ahead and embraced mainstream medicine. What else? And I actually volunteered for a couple of trials. One of them was Nexium. And,
that's the purple pill.
Yes, exactly.
Protein pump inhibitor. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I did that, and I was very honest about the trial. I wasn't trying to sway one way or the other. And at the end, I said, I didn't notice a difference. That was my input. But of course, Nexium had a lot of other people, and they'll skew it the way they need it. But long and short, I was reaching. I mean, when you start doing trials, you're reaching.
Right.
And so at the end of that process, I just wasn't feeling any better. And frankly, I was feeling worse on the steroids. I was doing some mist steroids and stuff like that. It just wasn't helping me. So then I decided, I'm just going to stop. And one day I just took I remember this day, I took all of my pharmaceuticals and I threw them away. I didn't even take off the labels, just threw them in the trash can. And then from there, I started researching, reading, and basically took responsibility for my health.
Right, which I congratulate for doing a 180 and taking charge of your health. So how did you hear about our center, the Hotze Health and Wellness Center?
That's interesting. So I'm driving to a business call and just happened upon an AM station. I mean, I don't normally listen to AM, but that day I did. And I hear Dr. Ellsworth and Dr. Hotze, you guys, and I'm thinking, wow, doctors that sound like they're really plugged into what's true and real. And it just resonated with me. And I jotted down the number. Now, I have to admit, at 2005, there seemed to be sort of a focus on women's health and what have you, which perhaps was no problem. But I thought to myself, I said, well, I am human, and I know all humans have hormones, so perhaps they can help me. And I called in, and lo and behold, you guys had a few men at the time. And, I said, well, sign me up. I'll come in.
Well, that's good. Yeah, about 20%. It has run about 20 to 25% of our guests here at the center are men. Mm-hmm. Women tend to take better care of their health, or they're more attuned to it because they have monthly menstrual cycles, and they can sense when they're having problems a lot quicker than men do. As we age, our testosterone levels just gradually decline, and most men don't really appreciate it from day to day. A woman can appreciate it month to month if she's beginning to have health problems. There you go. And they tend to be more responsible, and that goes not just for our center, but just in general. Women tended to, they're the ones that drive healthcare in the country. So anyway, you came in, and I took a look at your blood tests, and the thing that really stood out to me on your blood test. Now, mind you, we don't use blood tests as the sole way we treat people. We come in. You came in, you saw Dr. Ellsworth, right?
Correct.
And he had a long visit with you.
Yeah, over an hour.
Yeah. Listening to what was going on in your life. We did get back blood work, and we found something very interesting. You had antibodies to your thyroid gland. Mm-hmm. Now, the thyroid gland is located in the neck. It produces thyroid hormones, 2 thyroid hormones, T3, which has 3 iodine molecules, T4, that's thyroid with 4 iodine molecules. Primarily, the gland produces about 90% 2 or 3% of T4. That's inactive thyroid hormone. It's secreted into the blood. That's what we measure when we're measuring thyroid hormones. Primarily, you're looking at T4, the thyroid stimulating hormone, which measures the amount of thyroid in the blood. Well, we also checked for antibodies, and you had antibodies to your thyroid gland, which means you had autoimmune. You were making antibodies, autoimmune, to your own thyroid gland.
Exactly.
And those antibodies glom onto the thyroid hormones, and they make them inhibit their ability to properly get into your cells. See, thyroid doesn't do anything in the blood. It's got to get in your cells. And in your cells, the active thyroid hormone T3 is what catalyzes the energy production within your cells and the power plants of your cells called mitochondria. So one of the reasons you were feeling sluggish and you were down and you didn't think clearly and you were cold is because you're low energy production. You were a low voltage because you weren't producing enough electrical energy within your cells.
That's correct.
And so Dr. Ellsworth puts you on some natural desiccated thyroid hormone, also checks your testosterone level, got you up on some testosterone, got you on a good healthy eating program, yeast-free eating program, because you're taking all these antibiotics, and antibiotics kill normal bacteria in the gut. Yeast overgrows. You had all these gut problems, indigestion and all that. So we took care of that with the yeast-free eating program and some nice statin and some diflucan, got you eating healthy, got you on some vitamins and minerals, okay?
Correct.
So how long did it take before you began to see any improvement?
So remarkably, my wife had made a comment about this is no exaggeration, 3 days later. She says, I wasn't really sold on this whole Hotze program. She goes, but I have to admit, things are different in the bedroom. So clearly, that's how quickly the thyroid responded within 3 days.
That's the thyroid and the probably testosterone shot as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you've been on the program here since 2005, 14 years.
Yeah, 14 years.
14 years this month.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, how's your right now on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being brimming with energy, 0 no energy, and right now you're what? How old are you?
I'm 49.
49?
Well, 49 in a couple days, July 9th.
Okay.
Yeah.
40, so effectively 49. Mm-hmm. Energy level on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the best you ever felt, 0 no energy. Where would you rate it?
I'll say I'm at 9.5.
What were you
Truly.
when you came in?
4.
Okay, you were down. No. And overall, how has this affected your overall relationship with your family, relationship with your work, your productivity, your career?
Positive, absolutely positive. The way I see my relationship with the clinic and my relationship with Dr. E, this is my foundation. So, of course, there's other things I do. I exercise. I eat responsibly. I'm not a robot. I enjoy carrot cake, etc., just like anyone else. But I'm responsible about it. About 85, 15 or whatever. In addition to that, I still explore things. If I read something that intrigues me, some type of cleanse, colonic, or whatever, I will embrace, and I'm open to doing things to enhance my health. But the foundation is my experience and my modalities here at Hotze.
So you did a 180 14 years ago, changed your life. Tell me, how has it affected your career?
Directly and positively. At the time, I was just struggling to make 40 grand. Let's just say I'm multiples of that today.
So when you get your health back, it has a direct impact on your ability to be productive in the workplace. Mm-hmm. And what you're going to find as you get older, and as people get older, they become less productive. They don't think as clearly. They're not as sharp. They don't have get up and go. They don't have drive, initiative, particularly men. They lose their drive, initiative, assertiveness, sense of well-being, self-confidence, mood, goal orientation tends to decline as their testosterone levels decline. Now, if you give testosterone, now you get your initiative up, your assertiveness, sense of well-being, your confidence is back, you're goal-oriented, you're driving directiveness. Testosterone will put a tiger back in a man's tank.
Mm-hmm. Truly.
And it makes a big difference. And then you can be more productive. And I tell people that are in business for themselves, or if they're gaining commission, I tell you, don't blame me within 2 years if you've doubled your income when you get on testosterone. Because we see a lot of men come in, I see them in their 40s and 50s, and they just feel terrible. They want to retire. They're tired of moving on. They've got a business. They may want to sell it. And I just tell them, don't blame me if in 2 years you've doubled your income. And be sure to get a good wealth manager to manage it. And I have seen testosterone. The reason is because when you're young, you got all this drive and directiveness. Mm-hmm. But you got you're not a lick of sense. You don't have any experience. Now you go through business. Now you're in your 40s and 50s, and you've got 30 years of experience, but you don't have the drive. If you put the drive together with the experience, it's amazing how well you can do in business. So I encourage men to get on a path of health and wellness now. So as you mature, you got energy, vitality, and enthusiasm for life, which Ron has.
Absolutely. No, I truly, I feel better today at 49 than I did at 30.
That's tremendous.
Truly. Yeah. And so, yeah, my goal is 101. I'm definitely going to see Halley's Comet. I'll be in my 90s. And then we'll see what else happens there. And I also plan on getting a third degree in scientific research. So that's on the plate.
That's great. Ron, congratulations to you. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And if you'd like to get yourself on a path of health and wellness, don't hesitate to give us a call here at Hotze Health and Wellness Center.
A special thanks to Physicians Preference Pharmacy, formerly Hotze Pharmacy, proud sponsor of Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution podcast.
Information provided on this radio program is neither intended nor implied to be a substitute for professional medical advice and is not intended to replace the services of a physician, nor does it constitute a doctor-patient relationship. You should not use information from this radio program to diagnose or treat a health problem or disease without consulting with a qualified healthcare provider. If you have or suspect you have an urgent medical problem, promptly contact a professional healthcare provider or call 911. Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution radio program advises you to always seek the advice of a physician or other qualified health provider prior to starting any new treatment or with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Any application of the recommendations from this radio program is at the listener's discretion.